on, turn it on.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I know that you might be a little tired after eating lunch and going through some other presentations, so just bear with me. We'll take here a few minutes. We'll learn about firefighter. We'll learn about fire extinguisher inspections, and I know you're all excited about that.
Yay.
My name's Thomas Finch. We're going to be talking about fire extinguisher inspections. The objectives for the students to be able to explain the purpose and procedure of conducting an inspection of a fire extinguisher. And I know you all do that every day already. You inspect them when you do what every morning?
Check off.
Check offs. And you know that they checked it off yesterday, so why would you inspect it again today?
Because I want to know for sure.
That's right. Very good. This information comes from Fundamentals of Firefighting, 2nd edition. So we all know what fire extinguishers are, but do we think about maintaining them? Who thinks about that? You just expect it to be working when you get it off the truck. Is usually the way it goes. You know, when you go to pick it up, you expect it to work. And when it doesn't, then you're pissed.
Just grab another one.
Yeah. When are the extinguishers to be checked here at our station?
Daily.
Daily, with the daily checkoffs, right? Care of the extinguishers. Extinguishers must be regularly inspected and properly maintained. Example, checkoffs. Records somebody should be keeping records of it to ensure that required inspections and maintenance have been performed on schedule. I don't know that anybody actually keeps a record of it around here, but the real only record would be if somebody checked it off on the checkoffs that it wasn't maintained.
All of ours is done by double D piping.
Double D piping, yeah.
That's who does the annual inspection.
Yeah, that would be for tagged ones, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Proper training required for inspection and maintenance. When I say proper training, I mean should be somebody that's trained firefighter probably that needs to be inspecting them on a daily basis. Now, beyond that, for maintenance, it would have to be somebody that's trained to properly fill them and inspect them for hydrostatic testing dates and stuff. And we need to, of course, always follow manufacturer's recommendations. A quick check, according to NFPA 10, is just that, just a quick check. It's just a regular inspection. That's all it says about it. So, check extinguishers on apparatus regularly every morning. Check the tamper seals. The tamper seal will be kind of like a little zip tie with a number on it, and you just want to make sure that's on there. If that's on there, more than likely it's going to work unless there's some kind of leak. Of course, while you're inspecting it, you can check all that. You need to weigh it or heft it. Hefting means pick it up, see how heavy it is, see if it feels like it's got something in it. If it doesn't, then you know it probably is. Examine for obvious physical damage, corrosion, and leaks. If you pick it up and you see bubbling around the edge of it, or you can hear a hissing noise, or it's got corrosion on it, I would take it out of service. I wouldn't worry about it. I'd let the proper person here at the fire department know that it needs to be, we either need a new one or it needs to be fixed or serviced. Check the pressure gauge. Some of them have gauges, some of them don't. You can see on this one right here, it's got red, green, and red. When it's in the red, you need to have it serviced and maintained. This one here, it's got the heft, but it obviously doesn't have the propulsion agent in it because it's showing down. Or it's a malfunctioning gauge. And either way, you need to take it out of service. Dry chemical agents, a lot of times, they need to be shaken. If it's just sitting in here, it needs to be turned upside down and moved around so that it doesn't cake in the bottom of it. Check the nozzles also for any damage. Make sure nothing's gotten up in it. Here in the South, we have a lot of things that like to crawl into holes and make nests, so we want to make sure they're not plugged and it's going to work properly. Take problem units out of service, like we said, and replace with spares. Who is supposed to make sure the extinguishers on the truck are in service and ready to use?
Whoever takes it off.
Every one of us. We all need to know. Of course, if you're checking the truck off, I'm going to trust you that day. I'm not going to go behind you and look. But when it's my turn, I need to make sure it gets checked off. I know a lot of people check the truck off with one eye closed and in a hurry because it's something we do every day and it becomes a little bit monotonous. But like we said before, when you grab an extinguisher off the truck and want to use it, you need to make sure that it's going to be able to be used. What do we do if we find a unit that needs repair or needs filling? Kip?
We contact the deputy chief and have him call for service.
And we take it out of service, correct?
That's right.
Alright. Verification of sufficient extinguishing agent. Stored pressure extinguishers. Pressure gauge indicates if pressure is sufficient to expel entire agent. The weight, heft of the unit indicates degree of fullness, and intact tamper seal indicates fullness also. So if the tamper seal is intact, this would be, on this extinguisher here, this would be considered the tamper seal right here. So you'd have to pull this off. If the weight of the unit indicates degree of fullness, and the pressure gauge. So this feels full, the tag's on here, but we look at the pressure gauge and it's showing it's not full. So whether it's full or not, it's not something we're going to put on the truck and use. Alright? I don't have an example of it, but they do look similar to this. The cartridge type extinguishers. Pressure has a cartridge on the side here with something to press down to release the pressure into it so you can use it. So normally it wouldn't be ready to use until that's pushed to release the agent into it. It's pressurized gas expelled only when cartridge is punctured. Unpunctured cartridge indicates full, properly charged. And these are all things that when we get it from a safety place, they'll already have it ready to go for us. So. Maintenance. Maintenance includes internal inspection and repair, which we can't do internal inspection. If we see something on the outside that's not right with it, then we know to take it out of service so that it can be properly maintained. It needs to be performed periodically. All the units we have on the truck need to be looked at, not just daily, but periodically. They need to be maintained by a proper professional. Inspection may reveal the need for maintenance. That's why we do it every day. And only qualified personnel, as I said, can perform maintenance. We know around here a lot of things get maintained by qualified personnel, correct? Common indicators of need of maintenance. The pressure gauge reads outside the range, the normal range. As you can see on this one here, it's outside the normal range. Well, it's just in the normal range here. So sometimes these are defective. And why did these become defective?
Because they get banged around.
They get banged around. We're a rough bunch of people here. And the gauges get banged around in the truck. It may have the heft, it may have the safety pins on it, but you never know if it's properly charged because this has been broke. So, still needs to be taken out of service. Even if you think, I know that thing will work, take it out of service because you can't tell for sure. Inspection tags on them also. They have the inspection tag here. And this is normally what we don't think about it on our fire truck, but we think about it when we go do inspections. We look at the tag and make sure it's been properly inspected by a professional, and it's tagged with the date of inspection. And normally inspections last a year. So we look and make sure it's within the date. If not, it needs to be taken out of service and maintained properly. If it's got a broken tamper seal, the odds are it's been used at some point. It's been used just a little or a lot. We don't know, because depending on the gauge on it. So if it's been used at all, it needs to be taken out of service and refilled and properly tagged. If there's any indication the unit's not full. Obstructions of the hose or nozzle assembly. When you look at the hoses, of course, different extinguishers have different size hoses on them, but it wouldn't take much to clog this up. If a bug or something got in there and built a little nest, dirt dauber or anything really. Sometimes these can get dropped and dirt stuck up in them too, so you need to make sure they're properly cleaned out if that happens.
District 1, Lifeguard EMS, stand by for medical alarm.
A couple of common indicators for need of maintenance. Signs of physical damage, corrosion, and rust, like I said. You can tell this one here probably needs some maintenance. It's missing the nozzle end here. We could use it without it, but we don't want to. It's also missing the gauge that shows how much pressure is in it. Visible signs of leakage. This one here actually, you can see that it's got a dent in the top here, and this one is got an actual hole in it, and it's been marked so nobody will try to use it or fill it with the words hole. Alright guys, why would an extinguisher need to be taken out of service?
Leaking.
Leaking? What else, Tyler?
Not pressured. No
Not
pressurized.
How do you know how much pressure's in it?
Well, you go by it off the gauge.
Okay. What else?
Not having enough weight to it.
Not enough weight. That's right. Very good.
Not sure they're right, yes.
Recharging the units required after every use, of course. Only exceptions are non-rechargeable units. This would be. This would be more of a home use type unit here, and this would be non-rechargeable. A unit that can be tagged, this would be rechargeable, of course, if it didn't have a hole in it. We'll talk about that. And this unit here can be recharged also. And that's why it's tagged, so you can see that it's been recharged and put back in service. Take extinguisher out of service and immediately after use, replace only when properly recharged. Extinguisher agents have been refilled. Make sure that the expulsion agent, which is the pressure for it, has been recharged, and all the tamper seals installed after recharging. On a water extinguisher, we usually recharge those ourselves. They're a stored pressure water extinguisher, which some departments add also add some other agents into the, when they fill it up with water, they add other agents to help with the extinguishment. It can be performed by us firefighters. You know, if it's a rookie firefighter and you see them fooling with it, show them how to do it, teach them how to fill it. Just before you can fill it, you have to discharge remaining stored pressure to safely remove the valve, and you remove it just by twisting the top off. Add water to the level indicator, which most of these have a piece of plastic in it. This one doesn't. This one's missing a few things. I think some parts have been robbed from it. But normally there's a piece in here, and that indicates how far you want to put the water in it. And that way, when you put it back together and you add, or when you add air to it, then it'll have the proper amount of water and air. Because if not, then you'll either run out of water before you run out of pressure, or you'll run out of pressure before you run out of water. And either way, we don't want that. Like I said, after it's filled, you'll introduce compressed air to this side. And normally, if we had a gauge here, you can see the pressure go up in it. You can also hear it. And most of them indicate how much pressure you can put in it. You don't want to overpressure them. Pressure gauge will have the red and green marks, and it'll show once you get to the proper amount of pressure. Most all the extinguishers need to be hydrostatically tested, measure extinguishers' ability to withstand internal pressure. So they'll take it to the proper facility and the water test it. They fill the cylinder with water at a certain pressure and test how much pressure it can withstand. Assigned maximum interval is usually 5 or 12 years. So if a unit hadn't been tested in several years, it needs to be looked at to make sure it's within its limits for hydrostatic testing. We wouldn't normally do that. We wouldn't be worried about looking at that. But we would be, when they come to test test one, or when we use one and it's taken to be refilled, the professionals will look at the test date before they refill it, and they won't refill it if it needs to be tested again. Must indicate they should have a marking on that indicates the most recent test on the outside of the extinguisher. The extinguisher may not be refilled if most recent test date is not within prescribed limits. All out-of-date extinguishers must be tested at an appropriate facility. In summary, the big thing is here, before we go to use an extinguisher, we need to make sure it's working. When we go to get it off the truck, it's everybody's task to make sure they're ready to go, because you don't always need an extinguisher, but when you do, it needs to be ready to go. We don't always need to pull off a line off the truck. Sometimes we need something to fight a small fire, or we need to fight a fire that we don't use water to extinguish. So that's when we'll need the extinguishers. I'm going to go over our psychomotor skill here for you. Alright, in our psychomotor skill, we'll be talking about, our objective is given a portable extinguisher, the firefighter shall demonstrate the proper way to transport a fire extinguisher. Alright, a proper way to do it here. And I got all this information off of the NFPA 1001, 2008 edition. Chapter 7. We don't always need water. Sometimes an extinguisher will do. Best method depends on the size and weight of the unit. You want to carry it close to your body. Holding something heavy out from your body can get you hurt. If you have a unit, we've got two different, when we talk about the Nozzle Zone, we have two different types of units here. We have one with a built-in nozzle. You carry fixed nozzle units in your strong hand, so this will be a fixed nozzle unit. I'm right-handed, so I'd carry it in my right hand. I place heavier extinguishers. If we have larger, heavier extinguishers, we carry them to the fire, place them on the ground to use them. We don't have to hold them up if they're too heavy. If you have an extinguisher that doesn't have a remote nozzle on it, then you carry the extinguisher with the opposite arm and use your strong hand for the nozzle. Place the heavier extinguishers on the ground near fires. One hand's to depress trigger and one hand for the nozzle to direct the stream. Okay, locate the extinguisher and remove it from the mounted bracket. We're going to simulate if we had this on a mounted bracket here. You can see on the back it's got a hook and would be on a mounted bracket. When you go to pick it up, you pick it up from the base. Pick it up from the base. When lifting an extinguisher, always lift with your legs and not your back. Well, that's true, but hopefully, and a lot of times, we're lifting something off the truck, so we're not having to bend over to get it. So we don't have to lift with our legs a whole lot. Hopefully, you won't get you hurt getting it. Grasp the handle and support the bottom when lifting off, just like this, of the extinguisher in your favored or stronger hand. So I lift it off and grasp it. If it has a fixed nozzle, like I said, hold the extinguisher at arm's length. So if it's got a fixed nozzle, I hold it at arm's length. And that's all you'd have to do for that. I appreciate y'all coming today. And we'll take a test now.